Welcome. We are visiting the provisions of Criminal Procedure Code. Our anxiety is to be face to face the justice reached that through this procedure, and for that we are anxious to have a visit to the first principles. The first principles as such firstly take us to Article 21, which provides that life and liberty cannot be deprived except by procedure established by law. Simultaneously, rather at the initial stage, the first fundamental principle is that there is to be equality before law. Therefore, Article 14 and Article 21, when are to be read together, these give us an insight about the vision of our constituent fathers. The foundation upon which we have laid down the provisions of the Constitution of India are essentially that sovereignty is being divided amongst the legislative, executive, and the judicial organs only after the big chunk of it as fundamental rights stands marked out, chalked out, and vested in the citizens. Therefore, the sovereignty as such as it is to be exercised through the legislative, executive, and judicial organs only subject to and in reference to the touchstone of the fundamental rights vested in the citizens of India. The first fundamental right is equality before law. Article 14 provides that the state shall not deny to any person equality before the law or the equal protection of the laws within the territory of India. This is in a more assertive way when it is said shall not deny. So it is made a mandate that the state, which may be the legislature, executive, or judiciary itself, they cannot deny equality before law to any person, and also equal protection of laws. Now, when we come to the first part, equality before law, it can be said to be the substantive law, and equal protection of laws would take us to the procedural laws. So, substantive laws as well as the procedural laws have to maintain equality. Once this equality is to be maintained, then in this context and in this background, when we go to the provisions of Article 21, protection of life and personal liberty, here is said no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. Now the procedure is to be established by law, and there is to be equality before law, and law is to provide equal protection. Therefore, both these articles, when are taken as yardsticks, touchstones for the Code of Criminal Procedure, then it further brings us face to face with as to the practice. In practice, when we are talking of equality before law, then we come to FIR, the first information report of the crime, and vis-a-vis the defense which the person being accused is to have. So we as a lawyers, as students of law, and as law analysts, as law scholars, have to appreciate how the fundamental rights of Article 14 and 21 taken together are to be visited on the reality, and this reality takes us to the FIR, the first information report, how the first information report stage onwards, the procedure is laying down the different standards. Now, there are different standards at different phases and different stages of the trials. Now, here in the context of FIR is a victim. So it is the victim of the crime. So FIR takes us to victim of the crime. And on the other hand, simultaneously, FIR means against some other person being accused of. So DIR, at present, formally, specifically, there is no provision that the defense information report is also to be recorded and to be treated with equal sanctity of law as is in case of FIR. So FIR is there, but DIR is not there. Though when we'll be through the different provisions, we will see that there are certain situations and opinions when the concept of DIR, defense information report, or the defense of the person accused comes to light, comes to surface, manifests, recognized, analyzed, and even investigated and further adjudicated as well. But it remains a point that FIR has legal foundations. FIR has legal sanctity. FIR has legal intensity of attention. But DIR is formally not there. It is not in writing. It is not in manifested form. And it also is being at present not attached any cemented foundation and superstructure for it as is in case of FIR. Now FIR takes us to victim and DIR takes us to accused. The victim further takes us to the truth of the reality in which the particular person has become a victim. There is a victim of crime and his life and liberty stands deprived. But the fundamental right is that life and liberty cannot be deprived except in procedure established by law. So there is no procedure or there is no law that any other person can deprive any other person of life and liberty. Now, once the victim brings the truth, it becomes FIR. So from FIR to victim to truth, or from truth to victim to FIR, is a two-way path to have a reach. Likewise, parallelly, there should be DIR, accused, and innocence. If there is somebody who is innocent, he has been made accused, and his DIR is not there, or there is no importance for the state to treat it with that intensity, sincerity, and truthfulness as is to be done under law in respect to the FIR. Now, the truth is taking, so FIR, victim, truth means state coming into. On the other hand, DIR, accused, and innocence means only individual. So there is state versus individual. We have to consider when we say there is a fundamental right of equality before law, then is it not the state and individual are creating imbalance? How this imbalance between state and individual in the criminal trials is to be looked at, to be appreciated, to be considered from the point of view of the first principles of the constitution and law in India. Then when there is a FIR, when there is a victim, when there is a truth, when state intervenes, then whole range of presumptions go on this side of the scale, and on the other side there become prejudices. So when there are presumptions and prejudices, the natural question is whether there is any mechanism, whether there is any inherent rules of procedure or substantive law which treats these gaps with the remedial effect of putting them at equality. How the both scale of justice are to be at same pedestal is the question. And then it also comes before us that we say on first principles that scales of justice are in the hands of goddess of justice who is blindfolded. When we have handed over the scales of justice in the hands of the goddess of justice to remain blindfolded. So once the scale of justice is in the hands of blindfolded institution, then naturally we have to have introspection. We have to revisit human history. We have to revisit the evolution of the institution of a court and justice flowing through court as presided by the human beings. So how the human factor is to be balanced will be a question. Now it is here where when we go to the philosophy, when we go to the jurisprudence, when we go to the transcendental aspect of the existence phenomenon of functioning through human body, through human mind, through human heart, then it brings us face to face with that the human frame, the human body is also having a mind and heart both. Now, eyes are the physical sensual organs. Eyes have an outward expansion, but the mind and heart are of inward implications. So we can say, we can justify, we can satisfy ourselves that when on first principles we visit to the scale of justice being in the hands of the goddess of justice being blinded, folded, then we can say that the goddess of justice is in fact blindfolded, that it does not want to remain influenced by the external, mundane, physical, worldly implications. And it wants to provide a transcendental state of justice by weighing through eyes of mind within the heart. Therefore, on first principles, it comes to be that our justice delivery system is of the standards of having a weighing of the equality within the heart through the eyes of the mind. And so there is a justification for the scales of justice being handed over to goddess of justice to remain blindfolded. It is in this background that I would like that let us revisit the Articles 14 and 21. Article 14 is in the chapter of fundamental rights. So it is a right which is earmarking a sovereignty piece which is not to come in the hands of, in the domains of legislature, executive, and judiciary. However, in another viewpoint, that though sovereignty here is having quadruple factors of fundamental rights, legislative, judicial, and legislative function, executive functions, but beneath this quadruple quarters is a full square. So four quarter squares are making a square. Therefore, the entire values, may it be of fundamental rights or may it be of the justice delivery system, wherein the legislature, executive, and the other all individual factors come into play, then it is in this reality we have to reach Article 21 when it is provided protection of life and personal liberty. Now, every person means here a citizen. So every citizen is having a fundamental right that he will not be deprived of his life or liberty except according to the procedure established by law. So whole focus comes to be the procedure established by law. Law is to be legislated by the parliament, the legislature, and it is to be interpreted by the judiciary, but ultimately it is to be executed by the executive. And once it is to be executed by the executive, it would be in a state, and once it is a state, it will be coming in the protection of the victim. Accused somehow gets isolated. Or in other words, we can say that when we are going for appreciation of the truth, and when on the other hand there is an innocence, then how to draw a fine transcendental balance between the truth and the innocence. Now, these transcendental fine conceptual terms, truth and innocence, are the ultimate reservoir of values which have to be appreciated by us. And from these transcendental pools, these transcendental reservoirs of values of truth and innocence, that our whole logic, our whole procedural steps, our whole implications of the substantive law are to be appreciated. Therefore, we shall, once visiting and once reaching at this foundational level of the truth and innocence as transcendental reservoirs, then we have to think and appreciate that the Indian systems, the Indian Vedic system, have come to the conclusion that it is the meditation which is to provide these potentialities, the potentialities of the physical eyes to be inwards, to be seated within the heart, and then in the light of the consciousness impulses to have appreciation of the intelligence bits, then we can see from where we have to begin, from where our law education is to begin, from where we have to reappreciate our courts environment, procedural steps, and the reality versus reality. The reality of innocence, reality of truth. All these are before us, and we have to come up to the expectations of these values. Thank you very much.
Thank you,